everyone. Welcome to Awaken Within. Our Patreon link below has a handful of giveaways from amazing books alongside live streaming, Q&A, authors, mentors, and life coaches. We are continually growing our community. Feel free to share ideas you'd like to see. Subscribe to bookmark us or click on the notification bell.
Welcome to Awaken Within. I'm your host, Skylar Shelton. Our in-studio guest is Rachel Kirkland, known online for her spiritual practice as the Modern Shaman.
Awaken Within.
When it comes to session work, can it be dangerous? Have you ever found it to be sort of are there things that can just go wrong? How do you feel? Is it all feeling based? I'd love to hear kind of just some general ideas about what are you looking out for when it comes to session work? What are those boundaries like?
Wow, you asked a lot of different questions that I could answer in a lot of different ways.
Feel free.
Which one? Which I feel like I'm going down one tunnel or the other. Session work looks very different based on the person that shows up for the session. That's the way that I do mine. And I can't say that, again, that is the norm at all. But essentially, there's an intake process when someone sits down with me. When I say, why are you here? What are you here for? What called you? Because I have a lot of different offerings that I can do with my gifts and the way that I connect. And some people come, within the psychic realm. At one point, I was named the best female medium in the world. And so that highlighted in the paranormal community. So I get a lot of people that come for just straight mediumship and just want to connect with a loved one, or they want to do mediumship channeling from an angel. They want to do mediumship channeling from an ascended master or whatever, or their higher self, a very, very specific type of connection, and basically just channeling that sense of information that I get speaking to that individual or collectives or galactic beings or whoever they want to connect with. That's a very different type of session versus homicide missing person where so you can use it's just kind of like teaching someone to read. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what do you want to do with your reading skills? So the sessions can look very different, and the way that I feel like I best serve humanity in my experience, when I had to kind of come up with how do you market this, or how do you platform this, or what do you do with, it's just to me, it feels like reading. It's like, okay, well, I could do a million things with it. And I've kind of done them all, to be honest with you. So the way that I feel like I best serve people is by asking them first, why did you come to me? What do you want to walk away with? And what do you want to feel what would be most helpful to you? Some know very specifically, and they'll come with a list of questions. Some don't. They have general topics of concern. I need clarity in my life. I need healing in my body, or specific in terms of finding a certain person, or I want to know what happened, how they died. I want to know, some of them are very specific like that. So sessions look incredibly different depending on what they come to me with. And I always start with that little bit of intake of why are you here? How can I help you? And I listen and let them kind of give me that information. Again, there are a lot of traditional psychics or mediums that will be I don't want to hear anything. I just want to do a blind reading. And you can do that. And I've done that and I can do that. But to me, that's not as beneficial to the person. It's I may tell you about your great Aunt Mary and you don't care. It's that's not why you're here. You wanted to talk about your ex-boyfriend or whatever. So I start with that, with their intention. And then I found that my sessions kind of split into two different segments, which one is the traditional shamanic ancient healer and a lot of healing work and moving things from the body and looking at doing a lot of psychic surgery, what we call psychic surgery. So this is moving organs, areas that hold trauma that maybe haven't solidified all the way through the form. Sometimes they have. Sometimes they're tumors, or people can't get pregnant, or sometimes there's very physical aspects of it. And I've dealt with all of that. And then the other kind of channel of a type of session is more seership. And that is usually utilizing my gifts for remote viewing, or a lot of times, if it's not just missing person work and things like that, remote viewing can be used in a million different ways. If people are just in a relationship and they're like, I don't know what he's thinking, he's not communicating. And I'm like, well, let's just go into his body and let me tell you what he's thinking. When I think of you, let me tell you where I feel it. Let me tell you what my thoughts are. Or let's go back and remote view a particular fight that y'all had. Let me give conversation to what was really going on in his head. So something as simple as that is just like give people clarity of like, wow, I didn't know. He said that a million times. That's what I hear all the time. Oh, he's told me that a million times. I'm like, well, then you're not listening, because that's exactly what he's thinking. And he's telling you that. You're just not believing it, or, whatever.
Awaken within.
Do you ever find yourself playing therapist? Is that a bit of a challenge?
Yeah. If that's what someone comes for, in terms of if they're in an intention. And my prayer before every kind of session is just that Spirit speak through me, use whatever feels like is relevant for that person, whatever's best for that person in that moment. I don't care what it says, on the door that I'm supposed to do in that session. If Spirit has something else that trumps that and is more important and more effective, then I always want to be in a space of openness for that. So sometimes it is. And when I'm doing that, if there's a sense of, I still don't do it from my Rachel perspective, or I'll say, hey, this is just me speaking, versus this is me going into your body and speaking to Spirit through you. A lot of times that sense of connection, if I am what I call energy melding, so it's similar to an empath, but it's a little bit more integrative with remote viewing and empathic connection. And so you move your spirit into the form of another. And then from there, you connect up to their higher guidance, to their ancestors or there. So it's kind of like having their psychic gifts through them. You just have interaction in a more intimate way, versus traditional psychic gifts. It's kind of like you're standing on the outside and I'm on the phone and I'm talking. And it's like this, and I'm telling you what I'm receiving, but it's almost like from a frequency or some sort of satellite that I'm picking up the information from the cosmic web and I'm sharing. I can do that too. But to me, that's much less impactful, because I'm not experiencing it with you. I'm not telling you how they're speaking to you. And so a lot of times if I'm saying, hey, I can hear them, they're talking to you, you're clairaudient. They're coming straight through in your internal head. And like, yeah, I hear voices all the time, but I just thought it was my own, I'm like, well, they don't sound like your voice. Listen to them. And they're like, you're right. It's like a father figure. It sounds like a dad. It sounds masculine. I'm like, yeah, you just never listened your whole life, to the point that a little bit of character analysis could do you good. It's like, we don't stop and we don't listen. So anyways, all of that to say, if I am playing like therapist or that comes in, I try to give a little bit of information and say, I'm not reading you right now. I'm not in your body. I'm just sharing from my sense of person to person, whatever is relevant.
If you like videos like this, consider supporting us on Patreon, where you get insider access to talks about traditional forms of prayer, modern-day self-proclaimed prophets like Joseph Smith, Theosophy, and liberal Catholicism, just to name a few.